on to another question.
So the usual term for the relationship which exists between languages which are members of the same language family is genetic relationship. Moving on to the next question. Now, can you give me examples of genetically related languages? I want you to give me genetically related languages.
Genetically related languages share a common ancestor and belong to the same language family. Here are a few examples. Spanish, French, and Italian are all part of the Romance language family, which evolved from Latin. 2. Hindi, Bengali, and Punjabi are part of the Indo-Aryan group within the larger Indo-European family. 3. English, German, and Dutch are part of the Germanic branch of the Indo-European family. These languages evolved from a common proto-language and have diverged over centuries. Would you like to explore more about how languages evolve within a family? Or is there another question you'd like to discuss?
Alright, let's move on to the next question. So, a basic term in linguistics for the set of substitutional relationships a linguistic unit has with other units in a specific context is called paradigmatic. So, the first assertion says that the assertion is that a basic term in linguistics for the set of substitutional relationships in a linguistic unit has with other units in a specific context is called paradigmatic. So yeah, that's very true. The reason is that the paradigmatic relations can be established at all levels of analysis. So they can be
Yes, you're correct. The assertion that a basic term in linguistics for the set of substitutional relationships a linguistic unit has with other units in a specific context is called paradigmatic is indeed true. Paradigmatic relations involve choices or alternatives that a speaker can select from within a particular linguistic context. For instance, in the sentence, she is happy, the adjective happy could be substituted with sad, joyful, or angry to change the meaning, which showcases its paradigmatic relationship with those alternatives. Moreover, it's true that these relations can be established at all levels of linguistic analysis: phonological, morphological, syntactic, and even semantic. This universality in application is what the reason in your assertion is highlighting. Would you like to explore how these relations manifest differently across linguistic levels? Or shall we move on to the next question?
Can you exemplify how the reason to this assertion is correct? What I want you to do is I want you to exemplify and give me examples. I want you to exemplify. I want you to exemplify and give me examples of how the paradigmatic relation is being established at all levels of analysis. And I don't have much time really, so please be precise with your explanation, but do not miss out on any useful or important information.
Absolutely. Let's look at how paradigmatic relations are established at different linguistic levels. 1. Phonological level. Consider the sounds p and b in English. They can substitute for each other to change meaning, like in pat versus bat. This substitution shows how phonemes can have paradigmatic relationships. 2. Morphological level. In the word unhappiness, the prefix un can be swapped with in to form inhappiness, though less common, and the suffix ness can be replaced with t to form unhappy t. Not standard English, but illustrative of morphological substitution possibilities. 3. Syntactic level. For a simple sentence like she likes apples, you can substitute likes with another verb like hates or loves, showing a paradigmatic relationship among verbs within the syntactic structure of the sentence. 4. Semantic level. Words like big can be replaced with large or huge, which are synonyms but may carry slight differences in connotation or usage context, showing semantic paradigmatic relations. These examples demonstrate that paradigmatic relations, where one unit can be substituted for another in a linguistic system, are indeed pervasive across all levels of linguistic analysis. They highlight the rich, interconnected nature of language, where elements can often be interchanged to alter meanings in nuanced ways. Would you like to explore another question or need further examples on another topic?
ChatGPT 4 is relatively faster and more accurate and precise, I think.
I'm glad to hear you're noticing improvements. ChatGPT 4 aims to be more precise and handle complex interactions better. If there's anything specific you want to explore, or any other questions you have, feel free to let me know.
Alright, moving on to the next question. The primitive elements in a grammar required for the analysis of linguistic data, for example, NP, VP, plus grave, plus abstract, are called substantive universals.
The primitive elements in grammar that you're referring to, like NP, noun phrase, VP, verb phrase, grave, and plus abstract, are called substantive universals. These are fundamental components or features used in linguistic theory to analyze and describe the structure of languages across different grammatical categories. NP, noun phrase. This consists of a noun and its modifiers, which can include adjectives, determiners, and more. It functions as a subject, object, or complement in a sentence. This includes a verb and its associated objects, complements, and adverbial modifiers. It's essential for forming predicates in sentences. These are features that describe certain phonological or semantic properties of linguistic units. For example, plus grave could refer to a certain type of phonological feature, and abstract to abstract noun categories or semantic traits. These elements are crucial for constructing and analyzing sentences in any language, providing a framework to understand complex linguistic structures systematically. Would you like to go into more detail on any of these elements, or is there another aspect of the question you'd like to explore?
Can you speak a little slower? Can you speak at 0.8x speed? I just want to know, like, yes or no. That's it. I don't need a complex explanation.
I can't adjust the speed at which I speak since I provide text responses, but you might be able to adjust the playback speed if you're using a text-to-speech tool or software to read out my responses.
Now, can you give me an exhaustive list of what could be included in the substantive universals? Because, plus grave and plus abstract, these are the terminologies which I really don't, understand. So, I want you to give me an exhaustive list of what could be substantive universals, and then also provide me with a brief explanation of each of the items.
Substantive universals refer to basic elements or categories common across languages, used in grammar and linguistic analysis. Here's an overview of some common substantive universals. 1. NP, noun phrase, a syntactic category that includes a noun and its modifiers. It can function as the subject, object, or complement in sentences. 2. VP, verb phrase, comprises a verb and its complements and modifiers. It's essential for constructing predicate structures in sentences. 3P, adjective phrase, involves an adjective and any modifiers. It describes or modifies nouns and can function similarly to an adverb. 4. PP, prepositional phrase, consists of a preposition and its object, providing additional information about time, location, or other relationships. 5P, adverbial phrase, an adverb and its modifiers, used to modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs indicating manner, frequency, degree, etc. 6. Abstract, a feature that distinguishes between concrete and abstract nouns. Concrete nouns refer to physical objects, while abstract nouns represent ideas or concepts. 7. Animate distinguishes between animate and inanimate nouns. Animate nouns are those that are alive or have lifelike qualities. 8. Human identifies nouns that refer to humans versus those that do not. 9. Plus count differentiates between countable nouns, which can have plural forms, and uncountable nouns, which typically do not. These elements are foundational in many linguistic theories for describing and analyzing the structure of languages. Each plays a crucial role in grammar, helping to explain how different languages organize and express meanings. Would you like more details on any specific term, or is there another topic you're interested in?
Give me more of these items that could be a part of the substantive universes, like plus grave, plus abstract. You did not mention these on the list, so give me an exhaustive list, excluding all of the ones that you have discussed already. So NPVP, prepositional phrase, plus count. These the ones that you have discussed. Don't give them out again. Additional substantive universals that you have not yet discussed but are there in the grammar. Please give information about those.
Certainly. Here are additional substantive universals not previously mentioned, focusing on features and categories often used in linguistic analysis. 1. Plus voice. Distinguishes between voiced and voiceless sounds in phonology, where voiced sounds involve vibration of the vocal cords. 2. Nasal. Indicates whether a sound is nasal, involving airflow through the nose, like the sounds m, in English. 3. Lateral. Refers to lateral sounds, which are produced by allowing air to flow along the sides of the tongue, such as the English l. 4. Plus my high, low, back, my front. These are vowel features that describe tongue position during the articulation of vowels. High and low refer to tongue height, while back and front refer to tongue advancement. 5. Tense. Differentiates tense vowels from lax vowels, where tense vowels typically require more muscular effort and are longer in duration. 6. Plus rounded. Indicates whether the lips are rounded or not during the production of certain vowels. 7. Describes sounds that are produced with a continuous airflow and are more sonorous, like vowels, nasals, liquids, and glides. 8. Plus continuant. Distinguishes sounds that can be held continuously, like fricatives and vowels, from stops, which have a complete closure in the vocal tract. 9. Trident. Refers to fricative and affricate sounds that are produced with a high-intensity, turbulent airflow. These features and categories are part of the substantive universals that linguists use to describe and analyze the phonetic and phonological properties of languages. Each feature helps in categorizing.
Alright, let's talk about the statistical universals now. It still doesn't work. I got 4, but this is not working. Let's talk about these statistical universals now.
Statistical universals refer to tendencies that are generally found across languages, though they aren't absolute rules. They are patterns that occur frequently enough in language data to be statistically significant. But there may be exceptions due to the diversity of linguistic structures worldwide. These universals can involve various aspects of language, such as phonetics, syntax, and semantics. Here are some examples of statistical universals. 1. Zipf's law. This is a principle that describes the frequency of words in natural language, stating that the frequency of any word is inversely proportional to its rank in the frequency table. Thus, the most common word will occur approximately twice as often as the second most common word, 3 times as often as the third most common word, and so on. 2. Menzerath's law. In phonology, this law posits that larger linguistic constructs tend to be made up of shorter morphemes. For example, in many languages, longer words tend to have shorter syllables. 3. Preference for subject-verb-object, SVO order. While not absolute, there is a statistical tendency for languages to favor an SVO word order. This is the most common sentence structure among the world's languages, including English. 4. Tendency towards consonant-vowel syllable structure. Most languages tend to use a simple consonant-vowel, CV pattern, as the most common syllable structure, reflecting a balance of simplicity and distinctiveness in speech. 5. More synonyms for culturally significant words. Linguistic studies have found that there are often more synonyms in any language for words that are culturally or environmentally significant to the speakers of that language. universals are useful for linguists in understanding language structures and their functions across different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. They highlight common patterns that may point to underlying cognitive or communicative principles shared among humans. Would you like to delve deeper into any specific statistical universal, or discuss how these principles affect language learning and usage?
I want you to give more examples of these statistical universals, like the ones that you discussed, these statistical universals that you discussed. I want you to provide me with examples of these statistical universals, and please, don't take much time. So I'd like you to wait for me. So after you have given example for one statistical universal, please wait for me to repeat it and then move on to the next one. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Let's start with Zipf's law. An example of this can be seen in the English language, where the most frequently used word, the, appears significantly more often than other words. It follows that less frequent words, such as use or good, appear in descending order of frequency. Please go ahead and repeat that, and then let me know when you're ready for the next example.
Well, the is used more frequently in the Zipf's law in the English language.
That's right. Now, moving on to Menzerat's law, a good example is seen in languages like Italian and Spanish, where longer words often consist of shorter syllables. For instance, in Italian, the word particolarmente, particularly, is long but is broken down into shorter syllables, parzialmente. Go ahead and repeat that, and let me know when to proceed with the next one.
Well, in languages like Italian and Spanish, longer words have smaller syllables. Now, what I want you to do, I don't want you to say that thing again and again. Go on and repeat it, and then I will move on to the next one. Don't do that. It is a wastage of time.
Understood. Let's continue with the preference for subject-verb-object, SVO, order. In English, a typical sentence like, she eats apples, follows this pattern, demonstrating the SVO structure that is common in many languages, making it easier for speakers to understand the sequence of actions. Next, the tendency towards consonant-vowel syllable structure. Languages like Japanese exemplify this with a predominance of CV syllables, as in kakiku keiko. Lastly, concerning more synonyms for culturally significant words. In Arabic, there are numerous words for lion, such as Asad, Usama, and Layth, reflecting the animal's importance in the culture. These examples illustrate how statistical universals manifest in various languages, highlighting common linguistic patterns. If there's another aspect of statistical universals you'd like to explore, or if there's anything else on your mind, feel free to share.
Alright, let's talk about the absolute universals. Absolute universals.
Absolute universals are linguistic features that are found in every known human language without exception. These universals are part of what makes human language a distinct and unique phenomenon. Here are some examples of absolute universals. 1. All languages have vowels and consonants. This is a fundamental feature of human languages. Every known language distinguishes between these two types of sounds for phonetic and phonological purposes. 2. All languages have nouns and verbs. These are two essential parts of speech found universally. Nouns typically refer to people, places, things, or ideas, while verbs denote actions, states, or occurrences. 3. All languages use recursion. This is the ability to embed phrases within phrases of the same type, allowing for the creation of complex sentences. For example, in English one can say, the man who saw the woman who spoke to the president left. 4. All languages can pose questions and negate statements. Every language has a mechanism for asking questions and for negating statements, which are crucial for effective communication. 5. All languages change over time. No language remains static. All languages evolve as they are used by speakers, influenced by social, cultural, and environmental factors. These features are considered absolute universals because they are necessary components of any language, supporting basic communicative functions and complex expression. Each one underscores the shared cognitive capabilities of humans in processing and using language. If you'd like more detailed examples or explanations on any of these points, or if there's another topic you're curious about, just let me know.
All right, let's move on to the next one, that is formal universals. So, tell me about formal universals. Do not take too long, please.
Formal universals refer to structural patterns and constraints that appear in all languages, but unlike absolute universals, they may manifest differently depending on the language. These universals are based on the forms and structures that languages tend to develop. Here are some key examples. 1. Dependency of elements. In every language, some elements depend on others for meaning or grammatical correctness, such as subjects on verbs or modifiers on nouns. 2. Hierarchical structure. All languages organize words into phrases and sentences using a hierarchical structure, where some elements govern or are governed by others. 3. Binary distinctions. Many languages make binary grammatical distinctions, such as singular plural, definite, indefinite, or past present, although the specific categories and markers can vary. 4. Transformational operations. Most languages can perform transformations that alter the order and structure of elements within sentences to change emphasis or meaning, like passive voice or question formation. 5. Constraints on phonological structure. Languages universally impose limits on possible sound sequences, defining permissible syllable structures and phonotactic rules. These formal universals provide a framework for understanding how different languages achieve similar communicative goals through varied grammatical and syntactic structures. They highlight the underlying principles that govern the organization of linguistic information. If there's another aspect of linguistics you're interested in or another topic you'd like to explore, just let me know.
All right, let's move on to the next question. A relation between two speech sounds such that replacing one by the other makes a difference in the meaning of the word. So, what is this kind of relation between two speech sounds called? That must be a contrast. Explain why and what this really means. Do not take too long. Exemplify. Do not take too long. I don't have much time.
Yes, the relation you're referring to is called contrast, or phonemic contrast. This occurs when changing one sound in a word results in a change of meaning, demonstrating that the two sounds are distinct phonemes in that language. For example, in English, consider the words bat and pat. Here, replacing the b sound in bat with a p sound changes the word to pat, altering its meaning. This indicates that b and p are separate phonemes in English because their substitution can lead to a change in meaning. This concept is crucial for understanding how minimal pairs work in phonology, which helps linguists define the phonemic inventory of a language. Essentially, it's a set of distinct sounds that are meaningful in communication. If there's anything more you'd like to explore on this topic or another, just let me know.
Please do not come all the time with if there is anything else you want to discuss, please let me know, because this is a wastage of time. So I want to save my 2 or 3 seconds in each between each conversation. So do not direct me if I should do something or I should ask you something. I'll let you know when I feel like it. All right. So now the next question is the property that language can communicate information about something far away in time and space is called displacement. Now, I want you to briefly explain what interchangeability is. Interchangeability and double articulation. As far as I understand, interchangeability is basically the ability to interchange the messages, to send the messages and receive the messages in in a communicative setting, and double articulation is basically probably a set of a limited set of.
You're right about displacement, and your understanding of interchangeability is on track. Interchangeability refers to the ability of individuals in a language community to both produce and comprehend messages. This means that speakers can assume the roles of sender and receiver interchangeably in communication. It's a fundamental property of human language that supports social interaction and cooperative communication. Double articulation, also known as duality of patterning, is a feature of human language where sounds, which by themselves don't carry specific meanings, can be combined to form meaningful elements, like morphemes or words, and these elements can be further combined into larger, meaningful units, like phrases or sentences. This two-level system of language allows for the efficient creation of a wide range of expressions from a limited set of sounds. Both of these concepts are crucial for understanding the flexibility and efficiency of human language in various communicative contexts.
Can you briefly explain and exemplify double articulation, like by not using too many words? Brief explanation, a short explanation.
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble responding right now. Please wait a bit and try again.
So I want you to elaborate on what double articulation is in brief, in short. I don't want you to waste spend too much time explaining what this really is. I want you to briefly explain what double articulation is and exemplify at the same time for better understanding.
Double articulation, also known as duality of patterning, is a key feature of human language that involves two levels of structure. One, first level, the small set of sounds, phonemes, in a language that do not carry specific meanings on their own. For example, the sounds are just sounds with no inherent meaning. Two, second level, these sounds are combined to form meaningful units like words or morphemes. For instance, combining pat and t gives you pat, which is a meaningful word in English. This two-tiered structure allows for the efficient creation of a vast number of meaningful expressions from a relatively small set of sounds, enabling complex and nuanced communication with limited phonetic elements. It's a fundamental reason why human language can be both economical and expressively powerful.
Now, animal communication, unlike human language, is discrete and non-symbolic. It's actually anomalous and non-symbolic. Now, I want you to explain in detail what this statement means.
The statement that animal communication is anomalous and non-symbolic distinguishes it significantly from human language in two key aspects. One, anomalous. This term implies that animal communication systems are generally fixed and limited to specific contexts or purposes. Animal signals often directly correspond to immediate environmental stimuli or internal states. For instance, a certain bird call might be used exclusively to signal danger from predators. Unlike human language, which can generate an infinite variety of new messages suited to novel contexts, animal communication is typically restricted to a set number of messages or signals that are predetermined by their genetic makeup and are specific to particular situations. 2. Non-symbolic. Animal communication does not use symbols in the way human language does. Human linguistic symbols, words, are arbitrary and have meanings that are agreed upon by users and not inherently connected to their reference. For example, there's no natural connection between the word cat and the animal it represents. This connection connection is culturally agreed upon. In contrast, animal signals are often directly tied to their meanings and are not arbitrarily assigned. For example, a bee's dance directly relates to the location of food. It's not arbitrarily chosen and doesn't have the capacity to represent abstract concepts or things not immediately present. These characteristics highlight fundamental limitations in the flexibility and complexity of animal communication compared to human language, which is symbolic, rule-governed, and capable of discussing abstract concepts or things removed in time and space.
I did not understand the part where you were explaining non-symbolic. So I want you to like 0.8x your speed, like slow down a little bit, just a little bit.
Sure, let's break down the concept of non-symbolic more slowly. In human language, words are symbols. This means they stand for something else, and the connection between the word and what it represents is arbitrary. For example, there's no inherent reason why the word dog refers to the animal. It's just a cultural agreement. In contrast, animal communication does not use arbitrary symbols. Their signals are directly connected to their meanings. For instance, a specific growl from a dog might mean there's a threat nearby, and this signal is directly linked to the presence of the threat. It doesn't arbitrarily stand for something else. This lack of symbolic use means that animal communication is mostly about expressing immediate needs or conditions, without the ability to convey abstract or general ideas.
So anomalous means that animal communication and the sounds that animals create, they are instinctive, whereas the human language is different. Different. Actually, it's not just non-instinctive, but also abstract and can be used.
Exactly, the term anomalous in this context refers to the instinctual and situation-specific nature of animal communication. It is primarily driven by biological and environmental factors rather than learned or creatively constructed, as is the case with human language. Animal communication systems are tailored to specific, immediate purposes, like warning of danger, attracting a mate, or signaling the presence of food. In contrast, human language is not solely instinctive. It's highly flexible and can be used creatively. Humans can discuss past events, hypothetical situations, and abstract concepts, craft stories, lie, joke, and express emotions that aren't directly tied to immediate contexts or survival needs. This capacity for abstract and displaced communication is a defining characteristic of human language, setting it apart from animal communication systems.
Now, look, my English is not very good. I'm not a native speaker of the English language, so my English is not as proficient. So, what I want you to do is, I want you to, like, throughout the conversation, I want you to explain one sentence and then wait for me to reply, and then like you don't have to go, okay, I'm waiting for your reply, or okay, repeat that after me and then we'll move on. I don't want you to express all those useless cliche words. I don't want that. What I want you to do is I want you to speak a little slowly, like you're doing right now, like 0.8x speed, and then I want you to, like, after every sentence, I want you to, like, give a pause, a little pause, and then wait for me to respond back, and then you move on to the explanation of the next sentence, so that I get a whole comprehensive idea in my head. So I want you to do that now. Anomalous, as I understand, is it's a not it explains how the animal language is instinctive, and it can be used to either indicate food or for sex drive, and attracting partners, or to indicate danger, whereas a human
You're
language
right.
is
Anomalous describes how animal communication is instinctive and often directly linked to immediate physical or social needs. For example, animals might use specific sounds or signals to indicate the presence of food or to alert others to danger. This type of communication is usually specific to certain situations and driven by natural instincts.
and a non-symbolic. What does non-symbolic mean again? And follow the pattern that I requested. So you go for one sentence, you speak one sentence, and then you wait for me to respond. Reply. I'm sorry, repeat. You wait for me to repeat, and then you move on to the next sentence, so that I have a better understanding of what we are conversating. So, for example, you say something like about the non-symbolic. You say that okay, non-symbolic is something which is like an arbitrary communication which animals cannot do, and then you will wait for me to reply. Repeat this same information, and then move on to a further explanation of the same of the concept. So this pattern should be kept throughout. So you explain one concept or one sentence, and then you wait for me without using the cliche things like okay, I'll wait for you to repeat after me, things like that. I don't want that. I don't want wastage of time in between. Explain non-symbolic.
Non-symbolic means that the communication method does not use symbols or arbitrary signs.
It does not use symbols or arbitrary signs.
Exactly. In animal communication, each signal is directly linked to a specific meaning or function, such as a warning or mating call.
It is associated to a specific meaning or warning call.
That's right. Unlike human language, where words can represent different things and abstract concepts, animal signals are usually straightforward and tied to immediate situations.
Human language can express abstract concepts, whereas animal language is relatively what do you say that thing? Relatively, it is ingrained sort of.
Yes, human language allows for the expression of abstract ideas and concepts, whereas animal communication is more about immediate, concrete situations.
Immediate concrete situations. Animal language is about immediate concrete situations, whereas human language is relatively abstract.
Correct. Human language's ability to handle abstract concepts allows for a much broader range of expression and communication about things not immediately present or directly observable.
Human language is about things that are not immediately observable and relatively far in time and space.
Exactly. That's a key feature of human language known as displacement, allowing us to talk about past and future events or hypothetical situations.
Human language allows us to talk about past or hypothetical situations.
Yes, that's right. It's what makes human communication so versatile and complex.
This nature of human language, that it is abstract and it can talk about past events and future events, is what makes the human language versatile and complex.
Exactly. That versatility and complexity enable us to share knowledge, imagine new possibilities, and communicate across generations.
Alright, move on to the next sentence.
This richness of language plays a crucial role in cultural development, learning, and personal expression, shaping how we think and interact with the world.
It helps shape how we think and interact.
Yes, precisely. Language deeply influences our perceptions and relationships, both personally and within our communities.
Now I want you to give me a literal, the literal meaning of anomalous, and so okay, let's.
The literal meaning of anomalous is something that deviates from what is standard, normal, or expected. It suggests irregularity or abnormality.
All right, the next question is, in a multilingual setting, if one language becomes increasingly dominant over the other languages, taking over more and more of the domains in which these other languages were once used, this is called language shift. Please explain in brief. Do not be too explanatory because I don't have much time.
You have reached the message cap for GPT-4. Please try again later.
What the fuck are you talking about? I just spent 2,000 fucking bloody rupees. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You have reached the message cap for GPT-4. Please try again later.
Can you hear me? This is what they're given for bloody 2K bucks. I'm bummed. What the fuck is this? This is stupidity. I want unlimited access to GPT. Duh, motherfucker. The world is not fair. The world is not fair. For Omini. The fuck? Now, the next question, in a multilingual setting, if one language becomes increasingly dominant over the other languages, taking over more and more of the domains in which these other languages were once used, it is called language shift. Please explain. and be precise, be very very not too explanatory. I don't have much time.
Language shift occurs when a language gradually replaces another in various areas of life, such as in education or government. For example, if a community that used a local language starts using a national language for all public and private matters, that's language shift.
What's the deal with GPT-4? I just subscribed for GPT-4, and then I interacted with GPT-4 for a while, and then it says you have reached the message cap or the message limit for GPT-4. What the fuck is this? I'm paying money to get unlimited access. How the fuck is that supposed to happen? I'm literally too frustrated to be just frustrated right now, because this is fucking idiot. This is complete blatant stupidity. I don't get fucking I don't get the idea. Like, I want to excel in my career. I want to be using GPT-4 in order to enhance my career. What the fuck are these boundaries? I'm paying money. I'm a bloody customer. You fucking monopolies are just too much. Too much. You'll die in hell, motherfuckers.
I understand you're frustrated, and I'm sorry you're experiencing this. Message limits can be a part of subscription plans. But if you're having issues, it might be helpful to contact support for clarification and resolution.
How can I contact the support?
To contact support, you can usually find a help or support section on the platform's website. There should be options for live chat, email, or a support ticket system. If you're using an app, check for a help or contact us option in the settings or menu.
Go fuck yourself. All right, let's move on to the next question. I'll eat whatever comes. That's where I stand. Now, the next question is the question: how the mentally represented grammar is employed in the production and comprehension of speech.
Mentally represented grammar, often called mental grammar, is used by speakers to produce and understand sentences in their language. It includes rules and patterns for forming words and sentences. For example, it helps speakers know how to construct a question or a past tense verb correctly.
The question how the mentally represented grammar is employed in the production and comprehension of speech is addressed by the psycholinguist. Now, the next question: the argument that the child's linguistic experience is not sufficient to justify the adult grammar has come to be known as the poverty of stimulus argument.
Yes, the poverty of the stimulus argument suggests that the linguistic input children receive is not enough to fully explain their complex grammatical knowledge. This argument supports the idea that some aspects of grammar are innate or learned through mechanisms beyond just exposure to language.
Now, the next question has two statements: assertion and reason. Assertion: a compound word consists of two words. Reason: there is a theoretical limit to the lengths of compounds because the process of forming compounds cannot feed itself ad infinitum and cannot be subject to further compounding. Now, I want you to. I want the first assertion. The first assertion is false. The second assertion is is also false. But I think the first assertion should be true. The assertion should be true, but the reasons should be false. Yes, that's what it is. So I want you to explain why the reason is false. Why is it incorrect to say that there is a theoretical limit to the lengths of the compounds, because the process of forming compounds cannot feed itself ad infinitum and cannot be subject to further compounding. So this reason being false means that if compounds can have more than two words, and what is the concept of ad infinitum? Please explain in detail what the reason is talking about.
The reason is incorrect because compounds can indeed be more than two words. In languages like English, you can create compound words with multiple components, such as screwdriver handle, where screwdriver is already a compound word. This shows that compounding isn't limited to just two words. The term ad infinitum means to infinity or without end. The reason implies that because the process of forming compounds should have a theoretical limit, it can't continue indefinitely. But in practice, compounds can be extended and built upon with more elements, reflecting that there's no strict limit to how many parts a compound can have. So, the idea that compounding can't go on endlessly is not accurate, as compounding can indeed continue beyond just two words.
Screwdriver handle. Screw you, motherfucker, GPT-4. Moving on to the next question. The next question is production of speech that relies on the movement of air outwards from the lungs is called egressive pulmonic airstream mechanism. So egressive pulmonic airstream mechanism. Please exemplify what this is and what's the mechanism that underlies this process.
The egressive pulmonic airstream mechanism is the process where speech sounds are produced by pushing air out of the lungs. This is the most common mechanism in languages. For example, when you say the sound P in pat, you're using this mechanism. The air is pushed from your lungs, through your vocal cords, and out of your mouth to produce the sound. This outward flow of air is what makes egressive pulmonic sounds possible.
Please provide me with certain examples.
Sure. In English, the sounds in words like pat, bat, and cat are all produced using the egressive pulmonic airstream mechanism. Another example is the T sound in top. All of these sounds involve pushing air out from the lungs.
A general term in the classification of speech sounds which corresponds to frictionless continuance is approximant. So please explain what frictionless continuants are, and what are approximant sounds, and how does this statement define these two terms, and what's the validity, what's the the example in order to prove the validity of this statement. How can this be understood at a conceptually clear level? I want that kind of explanation for this. So a general term in the classification of speech sounds which corresponds to frictionless continuance is approximant, meaning which the approximants are indeed the frictionless continuance. So please explain the way I have directed you.
Frictionless continuants are speech sounds that flow continuously without any significant turbulence or friction. These sounds are produced with a narrow constriction in the vocal tract, but the airflow is smooth, not causing a turbulent noise. Approximants are a specific type of frictionless continuants. They are sounds where the articulators, like the tongue and roof of the mouth, come close to each other but do not touch, creating a narrow but smooth channel for the air to pass through. For example, the sounds L in light, R in red, and W in water are approximants. In these cases, the air flows smoothly through the constriction created by the tongue or lips, without causing friction. So the statement is valid because approximants are indeed frictionless continuants. They fit the definition of being produced with a smooth airflow, creating no significant friction.
So, what was the example that you just mentioned?
The examples I mentioned were the sounds L in light, R in red, and W in water. These sounds are approximants, which means they are frictionless continuants.
Why are these sounds frictionless continuants?
These sounds are called frictionless continuants because they are produced with a relatively open vocal tract, allowing the air to flow smoothly without creating significant friction. For instance, when you say L, your tongue lightly touches the roof of your mouth, but it doesn't block the airflow completely, so there's no friction. Similarly, with R and W, the airflow is not obstructed enough to create turbulence.
Alright, the next question is the system of reference vowels, traditionally represented as a quadrilateral which defines the periphery of the available space for the articulation of vowels. A system of reference vowels
This system is known as the vowel quadrilateral. It visually maps out where vowels are articulated in the mouth based on tongue position.
It is the cardinal vowel system. It's the cardinal vowel system. It's a system of reference represented as a quadrilateral which defines the periphery of the available space. That's the cardinal vowel system.
This helps in understanding how vowels differ in their articulation.
Alright, let's move on to the next question. The next question is a term used to describe the consonants which occur at the border between two syllables, and that can be thought of as both the coda of the first one and the onset of the second, is ambisyllabic. Please give me examples. Give me 5 to 6 examples of what the ambisyllabic syllables are, or ambisyllabic consonants are. Hey, Ola, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
Yeah, the next question is a term used to describe the consonants which occur at the border between two syllables, and which can be thought of as both the coda of the first one and the onset of the second one, is an ambisyllabic consonant. Now, I want you to give me at least 5 to 6 examples of words which have ambisyllabic consonants.
An ambisyllabic consonant is a consonant that can be part of the coda of one syllable and the onset of the next. Here are some examples. 1. In happy, the p is ambisyllabic, linking the first syllable to the second. 2. In ripple, the p is ambisyllabic, connecting the two syllables. 3. In catnap, the t can be thought of as belonging to both syllables. 4. In football, the t links the two syllables. 5. In nightmare, the t bridges the syllables. These examples illustrate how the consonant can function at the boundary between syllables.
Now, what do these terms disyllabic, polysyllabic, and semisyllabic, what do these terms mean?
Disyllabic refers to a word with two syllables, like happy, dinner. Polysyllabic means a word with more than two syllables, such as unbelievable, communication. Semisyllabic is less common, but generally refers to sounds that act somewhat like syllables but don't fully constitute one. For instance, in some languages, a vowel-like sound in a consonant cluster can be considered semisyllabic.
Now the next question is the term used in phonology to describe what happens when the distinction between two phonemes is lost in a particular environment is known as neutralization. Now I want you to give me an example which demonstrates this phenomena of neutralization in phonology.
A classic example of neutralization is the distinction between voiced and voiceless stops in English word final position. For instance, in the words bag and bat, the final g and t are pronounced as voiceless in many dialects, losing the original voicing distinction.
Smash, smat, smat. This is what a person from Nagaland says.
Yes, in words like smash and smudge, the distinction between sh and sh is neutralized. The final sounds are pronounced similarly, demonstrating how the phonemic contrast is lost in specific environments.
So this example that I gave you, it's a boy. He's from India, Northeast India, Nagaland. So he's from Nagaland, and he uses such sounds in his communication. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to keep this in your database. You know, the information that I'm providing you, and pay me for providing you with such valuable data.
I don't have the ability to store personal information or process payments. However, I can remember general details to improve our conversations. If you'd like, I can note that you provided an example from a boy in Nagaland.
Also pay me for giving you that information.
I can't process payments or handle financial transactions. If you have more questions or need further assistance, I'm here to help.
Go fuck yourself! Moving on to the next question. The next question, vocal effect, which extends over more than one sound segment in an utterance, is called suprasegmental features.
The term you're looking for is corticulation. This refers to how one sound affects the articulation of surrounding sounds. For example, in the word suit, the lip rounding for the s influences the rounding for the oo.
So the vocal effect, which extends over more than one sound segment in an utterance, is suprasegmental features.
Yes, that's correct. Suprasegmental features include aspects like stress, intonation, and pitch that affect more than one sound segment in an utterance. They extend over multiple segments to contribute to the overall meaning and structure of speech.